First couple of problems, we're talking about the percent change, so we're increasing or decreasing the price of something by a percentage. So this is what we've been doing the last couple of days. First one, we have a book that's on sale for 15% off, so it starts at $15, it's 15% off. We want to know what the sale price is going to be for the book. So what do we do first? Start at 100%, right? So we always start at 100%. That would be full price for the book. But then it's discounted by 15%, so we're going to subtract 15%. 100 minus 15 is 85, so we get 85%. As usual, since we're dealing with percents right now, make sure that you have percents on these numbers. If you had this written without the percent on any of them, it would be wrong at this point. So make sure that you have those percents. And now what do we want to do with that percent? Change it to a decimal by dividing by 100. So we do 85 divided by 100, we get 0.85. And again, if you know the shortcut for changing a percent to a decimal by moving the decimal over left 2 times, that'll make things go a little bit quicker. So in this one here, the decimal is after the 5, we move it left twice, and now it's before the 8, so we get 0.85. That number right there is called what? It's the multiplier, and we call it a multiplier because we're going to multiply it by something. So to find the final price of our book, the sale price, what are we going to do? $15 times 0.85. Punch that into your calculator, and what do you get? 12.75. And did you have to round to get the 12.75? No, that's exactly 12.75, right? So does this number make sense for money?
Yes.
Yeah? Does it make sense for money? So if we have dollars and cents, do we want 2 decimal places?
No.
Yeah, we do, right? If we had more than 2 decimal places, that would be bad. We would have to round. If we had less than 2 decimal places, then we would need to add some zeros at the end. But this is exactly what we want for money, so we don't have to do either of those things. What do I need, though, for the money here? Yeah, we need that dollar sign to show that it's $12.75. So the $15 book, which is 15% off, now costs $12.75. Next one we have, we're at a restaurant. Let's say we eat lunch. It costs $32.95. We do have to pay tax on top of that, and we want to tip the server. So what are we going to do first? Start at 100%. So which one are we using here, the 8.1% or the 18%? Okay, remember we have to do these separately. So the 8.1% tax is going to have its own multiplier. So let's find that. We start at 100%, and then what are we going to do with it? Add 8.1%. Oops. 0.1%. 100 plus 8.1 is 108.1. It's kind of easy to add numbers to 100, right? Just take the 100 and put the 8.1 on there with it. And then what do I need to do with that percent? Divide by 100, move that decimal 2 places to the left, and what do we get? 1.081. Remember, this isn't money, so I don't need to round this to dollars and cents. It's just a multiplier, so we need to use that whole thing. Don't get rid of that 1 there at the end because that's going to change some things. All right, now, what about that 18% tip? What are we going to do with that? Starting at 100, are we going to add that 18% in, or are we going to take that away? We're going to add it. So we're going to take 100% plus 18%, and what do we get? 118%. Again, we need to change that to a decimal, so we take the decimal point, move it 2 places to the left by dividing by 100, and we get 1.18. There's your multiplier for the tip. All right, so if I want to know what the final bill is going to be after the tax and after the tip, what do? Multiply what? $32.95 times 1.081, and then times 1.18. Lots of 1s and 8s in there, right? Make sure you keep those straight. And we just punch that into the calculator. It's going to give us a number. What does it give us? I think it's going to be a big long number, isn't it? 42.03. Okay, do you guys agree with that? No, you're not going to be able to pay the server that much for lunch because, well, it's kind of a crazy dollar amount, right? What do we need to do to fix that? Well, we need to round it, right? So we need dollars and cents. The cents is going to be 2 decimal places, which means we cross off everything after that. And what do I do with this 3?
Keep it as is.
Why am I going to keep it the same? I do keep it the same. Why?
Because the number right beside it isn't bigger than 5.
Yeah, that number next to it is not bigger than 5. It's not 5 or more, so we're going to keep it the same. So we end up then with $42.03. And don't forget that dollar sign again since we're talking about money. Don't forget when you're doing something like this, show us how you're rounding it. You don't have to write out all of these numbers. It would actually be okay to just write out these 3 right here because this next one is the only one that matters for rounding. But you should write out at least 3 decimal places if you get more than that, and then show us how you round it. Here we just want to do a couple of conversions. Hopefully we're pretty good at these. Hopefully. 76% we want to change to a fraction. How do I change a percent to a fraction? 76%. What does percent mean? Since percent means out of 100, 76% means 76 out of 100. So how do we write that as a fraction? 76 over 100. Now, what can I do with that fraction? I can reduce it, right? So I'm not really going to divide by 2. I'm going to divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. So if I just divide by 2, that's not really the same thing. But we're going to reduce by 2. And remember, 2 and 5 are the only 2 things we need to check. 2 works here, so we'll do that. 76 divided by 2 is 38. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. Okay, am I done? No, I can reduce that again, right? They're both even, so I know 2 goes into them. 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. All right, this next one has a little bit of a twist on it. It says we want to change 7/9 to a percent, but we want to round that percentage. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth of a percent. All right, so why do we need to round this here? What happens when we change this to a percent? Well, how do we change 7/9 to a percent, first of all? We need to divide it, right? So we're going to do 7 divided by 9, and then to change it to a percent, we need to multiply by 100. So we do 7 divided by 9 times 100, punch that into our calculator, and we get, it's a fun number, right? 77.777. How many 7s does it give us there? 5 of them after the decimal. Okay, so this is our percentage, but we want to round to the nearest hundredth of a percent. And actually, I think you could probably guess here, these 7s would keep going if we had more space on the calculator, right? So those 7s are going to go on forever. So we're going to have to cut it off at some point because we can't write 7s forever. So we want to round to the nearest hundredth of a percent. Where's the hundredths place for our percent here? Let me put the percent on here first. Where's the hundredths place? It's the second one behind the decimal, right? So this is the place that we want to round it to, which means I'm going to cross off everything after that. Now, if I want to round this 7, what do I need to look at to decide if that's going to stay or change? I look at the one next to it, right? And the one next to it is a 7, which tells me that this 7 is going to do what? It's going to go up by 1, right? When that goes up by 1, what do we get? 77.78%. Don't forget, this is a percent, so we need that percent symbol on there. So we round to the hundredths place. That's the one that we want to keep. That's the last one we want to keep. We cross everything else off. That first number we crossed off is 5 or more, so we make that last 7 that we kept 1 bigger, which would be an 8.